You don't ruin good things by accident. Every time something good gets close, a relationship that's finally steady, a job that's finally working, a quiet evening that's finally peaceful, some part of you finds a reason to pull back. You pick a fight that didn't need picking. You find the one flaw in the person who's been nothing but kind. You convince yourself the good thing is temporary, so you stop investing in it before it can disappoint you. You call this bad luck. I call it defense. And before we're done here, you're going to recognize exactly which version of it belongs to you. Think of the relationship that was going well right before you ended it for a reason that, looking back, doesn't hold up. Think of the opportunity you didn't follow through on, not because you couldn't, but because some part of you stopped trying right when it started to matter. Think of the friend who got closer than you were comfortable with, and how you found a way to put distance back between you. A missed call you didn't return. A joke that landed a little too sharp. None of this was random. None of it was bad timing. Every one of those moments had the same fingerprint on it, and that fingerprint belongs to a part of your mind you were never introduced to. I call it the guard. You might call it self-sabotage or anxiety, or just the way you are. But underneath whatever name you've given it, its job has never changed. To keep you away from a particular kind of danger. Not physical danger, emotional danger. The danger of letting yourself need something and then losing it. The guard doesn't know the difference between the version of you that's 35 and the version that was 5. It was built early, and it has been running the same protocol ever since. Regardless of how much has actually changed around you, somewhere early, and it doesn't have to be dramatic. It rarely is. You learn that comfort wasn't reliable. Maybe a parent was warm one day and distant the next. And you learn that closeness could vanish without warning. Maybe you were praised only when you achieved something, and you learned that being loved and being useful were the same thing. Maybe you watched someone you depended on let you down, just once, but once was enough. A child doesn't have the vocabulary for "this hurt me." What a child has instead is a nervous system, and that nervous system takes notes. It builds a rule. This is what happens when you get comfortable. Be ready. And then it hands that rule to the adult you eventually become, without an instruction manual, without a way to update the rule when the circumstances change. This is not a flaw in you. It is, in fact, evidence that the system worked exactly as it was designed to. The tragedy isn't that you built a guard. The tragedy is that the guard never got the message that the war is over. The guard has tools. The first is repression. And contrary to what you might think, repression isn't forgetting. It's burying something so deep that you genuinely believe it isn't there anymore. The anger you have towards someone you forgave. The grief you never let yourself feel because there wasn't time, or because someone needed you to be strong. The fear of being unwanted, buried under years of being the responsible one, the easy one, the one who doesn't need anything from anybody. Repression feels like peace. It is not peace. It is a debt, quietly accruing interest in a part of your mind you've agreed not to visit. The second tool is denial. Where repression hides the feeling from you, denial hides the fact itself. You are not in denial about feeling something. You are in denial about what is actually happening. The relationship that everyone else can see is unhealthy, except you. The pattern of every job ending the same way, except you somehow always have a different explanation for this one. Denial is the mind protecting itself from a truth it has decided you cannot survive knowing. The irony is that you can survive it. You simply haven't been given the chance to find out. The third tool is projection, taking the thing you cannot tolerate in yourself and locating it, instead, in someone else. The friend you suddenly find irritatingly needy might be showing you a need you've buried in yourself and refuse to acknowledge. The partner you accuse of pulling away might be a mirror for the distance you created first and cannot admit to. Projection feels like clarity about other people. It is rarely that. More often, it is the guard redirecting your attention away from the one place it cannot afford for you to look. The fourth is displacement, taking a feeling that belongs to one situation and discharging it somewhere safer. The anger that belongs to your father comes out at your partner instead, because your partner, unlike your father, will still be there in the morning. The fear that belongs to a decision you haven't made yet comes out as irritation at the smallest, most unrelated things. A slow line at the store, a delayed reply to a text. Displacement is the mind's way of letting pressure out somewhere. It judges to be less dangerous. The cost is that the people closest to you absorb feelings that were never about them at all. Here is what surprises people most. Understanding all of this does not by itself change anything. You can know exactly which mechanism you use, exactly where it came from, and still watch yourself do the same thing next week. This isn't because the insight was wrong. It's because the guard was never reasoned into existence, and it cannot be reasoned out of it either. It was built by experience, in a part of the mind that doesn't listen to argument, only to evidence, repeated over time, that the old danger no longer applies. Insight opens the door. It does not walk you through it. That part takes longer, and it takes practice, and it takes a willingness to feel uncomfortable on purpose, which is the one thing the guard was built specifically to prevent. So let me say the thing that matters most, the thing I want you to actually keep. This is not weakness. It never was. Every mechanism we have walked through tonight, the repression, the denial, the projection, the displacement, exists because some younger version of you needed protecting and found a way to survive a situation that had no better option available at the time. The guard is not your enemy. The guard is loyal, sometimes to a fault, to a child who is no longer in danger. The work in front of you is not to destroy the guard, and you couldn't if you tried. The work is to sit with it, occasionally, and ask a question it has never been asked before. Is this still necessary? Not always. Not even most of the time. But occasionally. Enough to start letting in the good thing you would otherwise have pushed away. You are not afraid of failing. You have failed before and survived it. And you know this. What you are actually afraid of is succeeding, of letting something be good, fully, without a hidden exit you've kept ready in case it disappoints you. Because if it stays good, you will have to admit how much you wanted it, and wanting something, for you, has never felt entirely safe. It is safe now. You're allowed to test that for yourself. Slowly, the next time something good gets close enough to touch. You don't have to dismantle the guard tonight. You only have to notice it the next time it reaches for the door, and ask it, gently, whether it still needs to be the one answering.